Big changes are happening inside the Auburn football program. Let's talk about it on the Saturday edition of the Uptempo Podcast.
You are now listening to the War Report Podcast Network.
Good morning, everybody. Hope everybody is well. Special Saturday edition, Blake. Lots to talk about, brother. I'm your host, Dustin Smith, joined as always by my guy, Blake Lane. Philip Montgomery out, Keionte Scott in the portal. There's no shortage of stuff to talk about, Blake. How are you this morning, brother?
I'm doing great, Dustin. I'm really just looking at the state of college football, man. And I just think we're headed down a terrible road. It's tough to put into words, really, because I think NIL and the transfer portal I think it's a good thing for college football, but we're not using it right.
Yeah.
NIL is no longer NIL. Let's stop with the BS and let's stop calling it name, image, and likeness, folks, because it's not name, image, and likeness anymore. All right. It is free agency and it is pay to play. And it's being used in high school recruiting, and it's being used in tampering during the middle of the season. Kids are in contact with other schools while their season is still going on. And it's become a joke. It honestly has. It's become absolutely ridiculous that this was a game that we used to love, man. We used to just wake up every Saturday morning, college game day, and it used to be the passion of trying to go undefeated, and you trying to make that BCS national championship game. And now we're to a 12-team playoff where 3 lost teams are getting into the playoffs, and you're giving all these kids the opportunity to, well, if you lose this game, it don't really matter, so you can just we're at the NFL. We're at the NFL. Hello, where a team that goes 9-8 can make the freaking playoffs and have a chance to win the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
a team that goes 9-8 can make the playoffs and have a chance to win the Super Bowl. You're at the NFL, and that's what it's going to turn into. Is next year in the 12-team playoff, you're going to have a team go 9-3, and they're going to make the playoffs, and then they're going to beat somebody in the first round. And then they're going to get absolutely demolished in that second round. They're going to get drummed because they don't deserve to be there.
right.
And we've lost the beauty of college football, folks. And when you talk about the transfer portal, Dustin, we can sit here and talk all this BS, all right? But the transfer portal has to have rules, man. We just made it okay for kids to enter the transfer portal as much as they want. This is ridiculous. It is ridiculous that you can just up and go whenever you want. I'm a huge fan of the transfer portal. Guys, I'll be honest with you. I think if a kid coming out of high school goes to a school and their coach is fired or something like that, all right, or they're there for 2 years and they say, hey, look, I might have made a mistake. Let me enter the transfer portal and go somewhere. All right, I'm cool with that. But we got cats in here that are on their 5th school. I mean, we got cats that play for a year and up after their freshman year, they're like, well, I'm not playing, I'm out. What are we doing, man? Like, this isn't college football anymore. And the transfer portal is going on while the season is happening. So you got cats that are in the transfer portal playing their bowl game with the team that they're about to quit on.
Yeah.
What are we doing? What are we doing? It's not that hard, folks. It's not. You got to put stipulations on things, man. You got to put rules and make kids want to work, man. I'm huge for the transfer portal. I think you should be able to transfer one time. And we've gotten to a point where there's just no love. There's no love anymore. And Dustin made a great point on our last episode. Dustin said that these kids don't understand the love for Auburn. They don't understand it. They don't get it. They couldn't care less, honestly. They don't care.
That's the truth.
They don't care. And my biggest thing that I listened to Danny Cannell and him talk about why Florida State should have made the playoffs. Dog, your team quit. They quit. They heard the results. They heard the results that Sunday, and they said, you know what? Screw it. We're out. We're not playing. Could each and every one of you in this chat ever look back at 2004 and say that the Auburn Tigers would quit? Would the Auburn Tigers quit? Would they have looked at Virginia Tech and said, you know what? Man, Oklahoma made it. We didn't. We're out. No freaking shot, man. No freaking shot. There's no way that would have ever happened. None. Because you want to know why, Dustin? Like you said, they had a love for not only football, but they had a love for Auburn. It was a love for Auburn. It was a love for each and every one of you in Jordan-Hare Stadium to go out there and get it done, to finish an undefeated season. Because you want to know what we still talk about, Dustin? We still talk about that team in the undefeated season. But nowadays, dog, it's just I'm a father of two, and I can't wait till my Levi starts playing sports. I'm just head over heels, man. Like I want it to happen. I can't wait. But dog, the things we're teaching our youth is just unbelievable. It's no loyalty to the school you pick, man. And I think you said it best, Dustin, and that's why I rock with you, man.
Yeah, and everything you said, Blake, I agree with you. You know, my thing with it is you talk about there not being rules and stipulations. The portal's a good thing, right? The NIL is a good thing. Everyone agrees that when in 2010, we all knew the blue jerseys, number 2, we all knew that those were Cam Newton. So Cam Newton should have got some money for that, right? Like NIL, what it's supposed to be, all for it. But like you said, this has just become free agency. It's become pay for play. You've got kids that are wearing a different helmet freshman year, sophomore year, junior year, senior. It's wild. It's not healthy for the sport, and it's diluting the sport. We just had a bowl season where the majority of these bowls were just unwatchable. I'm watching LSU that doesn't have their Heisman Trophy quarterback. And then the Wisconsin was down to their 4th string running back. And you look at some of these, and Jaden Daniels is, you know, he was a Heisman winner. He's a 1st round draft pick quarterback. But some of these guys, Blake, are 6th and 7th round draft picks. Why are you sitting out your bowl game and you might not even get drafted? It just doesn't make a whole lot of sense. And I see some people, you know, Alex Tarwater saying this get off my lawn speech is tired. Brother, listen to every head football coach. Listen to every single college coach. Okay. Listen to them. Not if you're, you know, I don't know if you're an Auburn fan or not, go outside of Auburn. Listen to Saban. Listen to the successful ones. Listen to the successful college coaches and listen to the ones that have had losing seasons this year. It all sounds the same. They're all saying the same thing. We're not saying anything here in this podcast that head coaches have not said and have not been loud about. It's a mess, brother. So this isn't a get off my lawn speech. We're college football fans, and we see the sport slipping. And if you think that a sport is too great to slip, it's not. It's not. You can lose the soul of a sport, and you can lose fans. And when you start talking about 17, 18-year-old kids getting millions of dollars, hundreds of thousands of dollars, do they have the proper guidance? There's so many questions that can come into play. We're saying there needs to be rules. There just needs to be parameters.
Yep.
I'm all for Cam Coleman getting what he's worth and if he brings what I believe he's gonna bring to Auburn. But there needs to be parameters in place to protect Cam Coleman. Because Alex, weren't you an 18-year-old once? I'm not sure how old you are now, but I was an 18-year-old. And if I had everybody in the world telling me I was the greatest at something, and then I was handed hundreds of thousands to $1 million, I would need rules and guidance. And Blake talks about it when we talk about setting these kids up for the future. A lot of this stuff doesn't translate to the real world. You don't get to say, oh, a coach left that I didn't want to leave. This manager in my job left and went to a different branch that I didn't want to leave. Oh, I'm not coming to work today. I'm going to sit out. I'm not coming to work for a whole week until we get a manager that I like. That just doesn't translate. That's not the way the real world works. But you're asking blue-collar real-world fans to fill the stands, to pay hundreds of dollars of tickets. So when it becomes that unrelatable, when it becomes that big of a gap, the sport has a problem. Yep. And that's where we're at. I'm all for a kid getting paid what's owed to him.
Yep.
But if you're on to victory and you're asking Auburn fans for money, why would I give you my hard-earned money when it's already – everybody's in the same boat? Everyone goes to the grocery store. It's tough right now, isn't it? So why would I give my hard-earned money to the kids that might be here a year? Everybody's a one-year rental now.
Yep.
And me and Blake, it doesn't sound like it right now. This is a pro player podcast, but there's got to be rules in place because it's got to protect the players as well. I think players are making decisions that are hurting them. A lot of times, is it really in your best interest to leave? Stay, get developed? You're going to go to a whole new system, a whole new position battle. I look at a guy like Jeffrey Imba, right? Like, we needed depth in the defensive line this year. If Jeffrey Imba would have stayed, he would have got every opportunity to play. He had to go up to Purdue and restart and battle a whole new thing. I think he hurt himself there. Now, I'm not privy to these kids' situations, right? So every individual situation is different. I'm not here to say that a guy like Keionte Scott, we'll get into it here in just a second, doesn't have a legitimate reason to enter the portal, right? The point we're making here is looking at the sport as a whole, just scoping out for a second and looking at it as a whole. This is a mess. What happened with Florida State, that ain't right to have that many players sit out and just not care. It tells you there's a problem with the sport. That was the Sugar Bowl. You shouldn't have to convince kids to care about the Sugar Bowl. They were 13-0. They were playing a big-time power in Georgia to go, with a chance to go undefeated, to walk off and say, we did earn the right. 14-0, we did earn the right. We belong. And they threw their hands up and they quit and they didn't care. And the point we're making is that's kind of indicative to just that shows you the mindset of where it is right now. And our argument is here, we just don't think it's healthy for the sport, and we don't think that it's healthy for these kids moving forward. And the Walker Show, who I had a good interaction with on Twitter today, he said, who starts free agency before the playoffs as well? This is the big point about it. The portal is necessary. The portal needs to be in place. NIL is necessary. Players need it and deserve to get paid. But there has to be rules. Look at the way the NFL is structured. Everything has rules. You have a cap. You have free agency. Everything is structured. You have a player union, which college football desperately needs at this point, I believe. You have a commissioner, which college football desperately needs at this point. There's no ringleader to this circus, Blake. It's a free-for-all. So you have all these schools looking out for yourself. You have traditional rivalries that are just being destroyed. Do y'all really think that Cal or do you really think that USC and UCLA, in the Big Ten is a good fit? Let's be real here. It's going to be super goofy. And guess who else struggles? The softball players of those schools, the baseball players of those schools, the volleyball players of those schools, because there's no structure. There's no rules. Everyone's doing whatever they want, whatever best for them. Blake talked about tampering. It's been reported that Eugene Asante was getting tampered with in the middle of the season. That's bullcrap. And if we're doing it to other teams too, it's bullcrap. And it needs to be addressed, and the penalties need to be harsh and severe. This is not a get off my lawn speech. This is a save our sport speech, brother.
Facts. Hey, you know one thing is these kids, man, like Dustin said, we're pro player, but you're teaching young kids that it's okay to just give up. And when things get tough in life, it's just okay to say, you know what? I just don't feel like doing it anymore. I'm out. All right. I'm gonna ride off and go do whatever I want to do. You're teaching kids that life's never gonna get hard. All right. That's honestly what you're teaching kids is life's never gonna get hard, because you got this other option out here where you can go do this and you can run over here and do this. All right. That's honestly what you're teaching kids. Guess what? Life's a son of a bitch sometimes. All right. You want to get real. It's tough. All right. And these kids, they don't understand what's about to hit them just yet. And you're teaching it to be okay to just give up, dog. And like Dustin said, how cool would it have been for Florida State to opt into that game and play, and them somehow, when they were all doubted, to win, and then Alabama get beat by Michigan, and Florida State say, hey, see, I told you so. It should have been us. It should have been us. That was our game. But instead, you opted out. You were down 30 players, and you got beat by 60 points. And what do all those other guys that opted out say? They said, "Oh well, that game didn't mean anything. It didn't mean it was just a inter squad scrimmage." Because that's what Danny Cannell said. No, I mean that game should mean something. You're playing for your school, dog. You're playing for a guy that gave you a scholarship. I mean, that is what we're talking about. It's not a get off my lawn speech. It's a save the sport of college football, man. College football, the beauty of college football was the brotherhood of trying to go undefeated every single year. Was that not what you got excited about, Dustin?
There was a lot of things I got excited about. I got excited about rivalries, knowing that I could turn on this day and see these two teams that have been playing for 100 years were going to play again. And this year, I saw all over social media and I saw talking heads all say, no one cares about rivalries anymore. And I'm sitting here going, am I just a dinosaur? Maybe I am. Maybe I am. Maybe y'all don't care about rivalries anymore. Maybe I am an old man screaming at clouds.
It's like Washington and Washington State, the Apple Cup.
That's what I'm talking about.
They're no longer in the same conference. So guess what? They play week 2 next year. All right? They play week 2 next year. Oregon and Oregon State, they play the same way because they're no longer in the same conference. All right? Because everybody ran the conference realignment. And it's just the sport is just on its way to bad things, man. It's like, and me and Dustin talked about this about a year ago, though. And Dustin and I were saying, like, hey, this is the way it's headed. And in a couple years, you're just going to have 2 gigantic conferences, just like what? The NFL, the AFC, and the NFC. And now you got Florida State and Miami and Clemson. They're all wanting to leave the ACC. Guess what, folks? It's about to happen. You're about to have the NFL. This ain't a get off my lawn speech. Dog, it's a save the sport speech.
Yeah,
it is. Yeah. It's ridiculous.
Alex comes back and he says, I agree there needs to be reform. I just think it's not the end that people are saying. Easy to look back at past times like they are perfect. Brandon Jacobs transferred in 2004. So players have transferred, right? Like Cam Newton went to Florida. Now we have a statue outside of him. So I'm not trying to be hypocritical. What I'm saying is it's at the point now where it's too wide open. Yep. There needs to be a portal. Let me say it again. I don't know if it's being heard or not. Players have every right, okay? I understand that position coaches jump. I understand that Brian Kelly last year or 2 years ago, I know what he did to Notre Dame. So I think that the players should have every right to protect themselves and advance their career and look out for their brand and all that stuff as well. There's a lot of layers to this, right? But I'm also looking at it from the fan's perspective, just a college football fan that's saying, hey, this thing's going maybe in a direction and we need to rein it back in a little bit. Because it's still the entertainment business. You still want me to pay $300 for a ticket, $45 to park, $20 for a hot dog, right? All this kind of stuff. If you want me to be that invested in it, the players on the field, I need to feel like they're that invested too. And when you have a situation like we have where entire recruiting classes that we just got a couple of years ago are no longer on the team, it's hard to have that kind of investment the way we felt about the 2004 kids, to your example, Alex. I know Brandon Jacobs transferred, loaded backfield, one of the greatest backfields of all time there. But we watched those kids in 2003 fall short of expectations.
Yep.
They had SEC national championship aspirations, struggled to get to 8-5. We watched them come back the next year after their head coach was almost fired, stay together as a team. We watched Jason Campbell He didn't blame the fans for being mean to him because the fans were hard on him.
Yep.
And go transfer somewhere else. That team bounced right back. And then, to Blake's point, 12-0 into the season, undefeated in the SEC, clearly the best resume in the country. And because the two brands of USC and Oklahoma are bigger than yours, you don't get the opportunity to play in the national title, and you still show up in the Sugar Bowl and get the dub. So then as fans, that's why there's a signed Cadillac Williams picture right there. That's why when Cadillac Williams ran out of that tunnel versus A&M, there was that kind of response because of what he gave Auburn. And that's the point that I'm making today, is that as a fan, the sport is heading in a direction that the fans do not like. And I know some people in the comments are arguing that, but there's a whole lot of people. I'm not the only one on this hill right now. Coaches are on this hill. There's a whole lot of people.
Kirby.
And listen, my point, right? Winning coaches are saying this is out of control. So that's the point being made. Now we need to get over here and talk about these staff changes and kind of focus on Auburn. But Blake came out the gate hot there. And this has been something that me and Blake have been talking about. And it's kind of been going around on our Twitter accounts the last couple of days. A lot of people have been getting at us like, we want y'all's opinion on this. So we just came out the gate with it. I wanted to get to some comments real quick, Blake, before we hop over and talk about the change made at offensive coordinator. We are going to get into the Keionte Scott situation. And I wanted to separate those things because I want people to know. And if you're just watching the show and don't follow us on social media, you can go. Our tags are right there. We've been getting for about a week. People, the segment we just did, people have wanted us to speak on that. So I want that to be understood that was not a shot at Keionte Scott. We will speak on the Keionte Scott situation separately. That's something that people have been asking and wanted us to do today. So we did it. That was our plan anyway. And then Keionte announced what he announced last night. So I just want to make that very clear. No shots at Keionte Scott and no shots at anybody that enters the portal. Because like I said, all of your situations are individually, I respect them. I don't know them. I'm not privy to them. Who am I to tell a kid how to live his life and what to do, right? I'm just speaking as the college football fan here, and I know that I'm not the only one. Our guy Ike Jones was in the comment section, and I wanted to get to his points. He says that Ike. He says that you are teaching kids you have an option, and you just don't have to take whatever folks hand you. And then he says that is one perspective, and I'm sure some kids are that way, but let me also I should have played those backwards. But yeah, I mean, Ike, you know that you're more than welcome to come on the show, brother, and we can talk this out because I know that you have your opinions as well, and I respect them. My point is just that it's gone too far. It's gone too far. I was 3 years ago, we weren't doing the podcast, but if you know me, I promise you, I was screaming, hey, these players need some power.
Yep.
And now I'm saying, let's pull back a little bit and give some power to, there needs to be some rules here, right?
It's like before the portal come along, bro. Look at Cam, perfect example. If you want to transfer, you should have to sit out a year or go play JUCO ball. All right, simple as that. That would keep a lot of kids from transferring because them JUCO days, you don't want to go play JUCO ball. You don't. You don't. All right, or you got to sit out. You know, I think that would help. But why did we change everything? Why did we change everything where you can transfer to 4 different schools in 4 years? Like,
yeah,
I don't know.
It's a mess, brother. But one thing, Blake, that me and you been calling for since about the Ole Miss game. And you just you could see it if you're paying attention to what was going on. If you were listening to the press conferences, we played the clips like every Tuesday, right? Where Hugh would kind of make his little comments about not liking this or the offense, or he's got his hand in this part and he wanted to see this change. So no surprise here. It's announced yesterday that Philip Montgomery is fired at OC. Yep. Blake, I'll just get my real quick on it because I spoke on it a ton and then I'll pass it to you. I think this was the right move. Like I've said a million times, I think that when Hugh took the Auburn job, he saw so many things that need to be taken care of. He saw a roster that lacked talent. He said he was surprised when he took over and kind of looked at our roster. He was like, whoa, this is a little bit more holes than I anticipated. I think he saw a lot of things that needed to happen at Auburn. He saw a bad culture, all this stuff, and he brought in 2 veteran guys and Ron Roberts to run the defense, Montgomery to run the offense. And he said, this guy's been coaching offense a long time. I could trust him to do what I want him to do. And then we started hearing Hugh pretty early in the season saying, I'm struggling with handing it over. I don't even know because I wasn't there every day. If it was a Philip Montgomery problem, I think Blake, it just the way to really look at it is to say it just didn't work. It didn't mesh.
Yep.
And now we see the reports of following the firing that Hugh's going to be calling the plays. Hugh's going to be heavy-handed in the offense and the game plan from here. And you just kind of saw this coming. I was vocal all season about I think Hugh Freeze is a great play caller. I want to see him calling the plays. So I'm in line with the move. I like it. I agree with it. I think it's the best thing for us moving forward. And again, I don't even know. Philip Montgomery might be a really great coach. I just don't know if it worked. It just him and Hugh Freeze didn't work. Hugh Freeze is a super competitive guy. And when he sees his offense not working and it's not really his offense, he's like, boy, if I'm going to get fired here, I'm going to get fired running my stuff. I'm not going to get fired running your stuff. So all in all, I think this is a good thing for Auburn moving forward.
Completely agree. I don't know if he was big on recruiting either.
Yeah.
I just that A&M game was tough to watch. That whole stretch was really tough to watch. And I made a point before the bowl game and then after the bowl game about it being a pink slip game. I just truly felt like watching what we watched in that bowl game, that was kind of saying, hey, Hugh saying, this is it for you, brother. Like, I hate it for you. I hate it had to end like this, but you could just tell in the way in that press conference, in that post-game presser, that Hugh was just kind of fed up with it. The tone in his voice, the words where he was just like, I wasn't happy with that. I didn't like the game plan. I didn't get involved. And then when I did, it didn't look great at all. So baseball soon. You're right about that. I just think that Hugh wants to take over the play calling, and Hugh wants to get a guy in here to coach the quarterbacks and recruit. So he can, like you say, Dustin said it all year, he can go out on his sword. If that's the way that he plans to fall, he's going to go out calling plays. And you're going to get a hell of a position coach in here to coach the quarterbacks up, to coach all the guys on this offense up. And you're going to get a guy who can hit the recruiting trail and do his job. And it had to be done, man. It had to be done. Like, you couldn't go into year 2 with Philip Montgomery again, because then if you had that disaster, people are going to start calling heads. All right. They're going to say, hey, Hugh, if it ain't you, then make a decision. All right. If it ain't you, then make a decision. And if it is you, some people are even going to go to the point of saying, get out of town. Look at Billy Napier. Billy Napier just had to fire about his whole staff.
Yeah.
Because people were saying, hey, Billy, do something.
Even Brian Kelly, they said, boy, you better fix this defense now.
That's a fact. That's a fact. And look, he just snagged one of the best DCs in the country. I mean, what was it? Blake Baker at Missouri, right? So that's the pressure, man, is year 2 is the cooker, where people are saying, hey, look, year 1, we give you a pass. Year 2, what's the problem? And that was a great point where Brian Kelly is like, people were calling LSU to be a playoff contender, play for a national championship. And after that first game against Florida State, they said, hey, brother, like, you can go back to Notre Dame if you want, because your defense ain't getting it done. And now he's realized, hey, I got to make changes. I got to fix this immediately. I think Hugh realized that, hey, I can't go into year 2, and Auburn fans they're going to be on my tail. They're going to be all over me. So it had to be done. Last Saturday was a pink slip game. It was, hey, get out of town, brother.
Yeah. So moving forward, I'm hoping what we saw post Ole Miss. And then really from that stretch on, I thought the only bad performance from the offense was the New Mexico State game, and then obviously the bowl game. But even the New Mexico State game, the offensive line just got shoved around. And when that happens, I'm not going to attack Philip Montgomery, Hugh Freeze, Peyton Thorne. When you just get murdered up front, that's where you point and say, okay, that's a problem. So whatever that was, that game, that's really what happened. But overall, man, I thought that the offense looked a lot better. I thought that Peyton Thorne looked a lot more comfortable calling, in Hugh Freeze's system. Not really going to get in too much into the quarterback thing today, because there's just not a whole lot new. There's not a whole lot new there, right?
Sports management.
Yeah, we had our hopes on a guy, and man, y'all going to have to learn to quit getting fired up about guys that we're going to have to look up their degrees. And I don't know if that was really the thing there. Don't quote me on that. I know that's just kind of what's going around. But yeah, this is the right move for Auburn moving forward. I'm excited about it. And I look back at like Gus, and there was always this thing of who's calling the plays, who's really the OC. And then you look at Harsin, and I mean, good Lord, Eric Kiesau and Mike Bobo. It's been a while, man. It's been a while since there was a guy calling plays that instilled confidence in me. And I think that I still have confidence in Hugh Freeze calling plays. Mm-hmm. I think that what you saw this year was just two guys that didn't mesh. Hugh, like, you go back and listen to those press conferences, Blake, he was trying to not throw Phillip under the bus. I mean, he was really trying, right, to be professional about it. I mean, you could tell he wanted to come out and just go, this sucks, and I ain't with it, but I don't have time to change it type thing. So we're good move going forward. I expect a guy. I said all season, just promoting a guy like Ken Austin, and I do believe I saw where he got some kind of promotion to quarterback coach or something like that. But and I know we're looking at the Knicks guy from Ole Miss. So whoever it's going to be, let it be a yes man, or let it be a developer, or let it be a recruiter. I'm not throwing this guy's name out there, but just a guy like Damian Craig, where this guy can go recruit and sure give him the title, but really it's Hugh running it, something like that. So there's a ton of routes that we can go with this, as long as Hugh Freeze is in the game plan, Blake. And here's the thing, too. We mentioned it, and I did it on their show over the War Report as well. Charles Kelly is the key part here. You're bringing in Charles Kelly, and now you can take some of that recruiting responsibility and say, okay, I'm giving that to one of the best recruiters in the country, and I can get back involved in the offense. And he will still have his hands in recruiting. He'll still be the guy, to come in and close the deal and do the in-home visits with Charles when it needs to be and all that kind of stuff. But, yeah, I like the move, Blake. I'm excited about it. And going forward, I look forward to seeing Hugh Freeze's offense, which is what I thought we were going to see this year.
The Mobile in me wants Damian Craig at Auburn. Just squash whatever we got to squash, man. Like this, it's a new day. Just the recruiting, and I just think you got former players on the staff, and one of the greatest quarterbacks in program history. If he was willing to come home and recruit his tail off to make this program what it once was, I'm all for that, man. And like I said, the Mobile, Alabama in me wants DC at Auburn. But I know things happened in the past, and it is what it is, Dustin.
Yeah, for sure. Walker Show says Hugh felt so uncomfortable not calling plays. It looked that way in the pressers, and you go back and watch our Tuesday shows when we would play clips from the press conferences. I picked all those clips for a reason. Like, we talked about it all the time. Like, this is just not working. This doesn't look right. So yeah, he just didn't look on. And again, it probably is not a Phillip Montgomery thing. Phillip Montgomery has a long history of being a good offensive coach, but it just didn't work. And he needs to get a guy that understands, this is my role, and Hugh's role is to run the offense. Jed asked, I don't honestly see why we wouldn't retain Ron, talking about Ron Roberts, but I keep hearing they aren't going to retain him. And that kind of leads us to our next one, Blake. Some rumors that other staff changes could be coming. Look, I mean, we know some things that we can't say, right, as far as things that have gone on during the season. But to your question, let me pull it back up. I would just say this, Jed. Think about this. If the on the field has been pretty good, right, which I think we would all agree that Ron Roberts did a good job with the pieces that he had. And Hugh Freeze has only been complimentary of the job that Ron Roberts has done. It wasn't like the Ron Roberts situation where you could tell, like Walker just said, he was uncomfortable. He seemed to be comfortable, and he's had I go back to the Iron Bowl play. He basically had his back, right? He had Ron Roberts' back. He said, what do you want us to do right there? It was basically the way he said it. But so then I would just say this, Jed, you got to start connecting dots, and you got to start kind of using your context clues, right? If the on the field product was okay, then what else would lead to a guy being dismissed? And I'm not saying Ron Roberts is going to be dismissed. I'm just saying if that's because, look, we've heard that as well. That is out there. It's being reported by different sites that is a possibility. So that's not breaking news. We're not rumor spreading here. If that does happen, then you have to ask yourself, okay, why? If the on the field is good. Look at the Wesley McGriff situation, right?
Yep.
It's been reported that the reason why Wesley McGriff left was there was a situation there with Ron Roberts. So then I would present to you, is that maybe the only person that Ron Roberts has had a problem with, or maybe is there more? Maybe is, if you go back and look at some of the things that were said about Ron Roberts leaving Baylor, maybe he's just a tough guy to deal with. And maybe that Hugh is kind of sitting back and looking at the whole locker room and the whole situation and saying, I don't need infighting. I don't need toxicity, regardless of how good the results are. And I believe it was Auburn on 3 yesterday, Auburn Live, that reported that Charles Kelly is already in the building working. So if you do have to let go of Ron Roberts and you think it's the best thing for the culture, you got a pretty good guy to fall back on, because you can look up Charles Kelly's resume and it's pretty damn impressive, not only recruiting wise, but he can put together some good defensive and special teams as well. Blake, you got anything to say about this?
Yeah. You know, I messaged somebody, I DM'd somebody yesterday that I trust 150%. And I said, excuse me, I said, is Ron Roberts getting let go? And he said, if I was a betting man, I'd say yes. Now, that's a guy that I trust, that I think, you know, he does good stuff for Auburn. And, you know, I sent out a tweet after 4th and goal from the 31. And, you know, there was just some things that we knew that had went down. And, you know, I kind of got cooked on Twitter for it, but, you know, it could be coming true. So I think, man, you know, it's tough, and everybody's going to make their jokes on Twitter and other fan bases that that Auburn's having changes. And I saw a tweet yesterday that this is the first we've had a different OC every year since 2018, I believe it was. It's just continuous change, and like, of course, you know, the Alabama fans jumped in and they were like, "Oh, look at this!" You know, like the barn, they can't keep an OC and everything. So I think that if you fire both coordinators after year one, people are going to start mirroring this to the last guy. You know, outsiders, not Auburn fans, but outsiders looking in, are going to start. You know, and because you got the 6 and 7 sitting there, you know, and I just think we got to be patient at the end of the day. I think we have to be 100% patient, because I look at a guy like Eli Drinkwitz, man. He went through some tough times at Missouri. He went through 3 seasons at Missouri where they weren't the best. And he struggled. I mean, after the Auburn game last year, they were wanting to fire him. They were saying, "Hey, get Drink out. Like, he's not doing his job." And they kept him. Now look at Missouri. Man. They're rolling. They're rolling. Cotton Bowl champs. We got to be patient. We got to let Hugh do his job. And like Dustin said, there were some things that happened that sometimes makes for a toxic work environment, you know? And that could be a reason why some of the guys that you see jump in the portal jump in. You know, you don't know. It's tough. It's tough to work for a guy like that or get along with somebody like. I'm not saying that was the problem, but it could be. You know, and we got to figure this thing out, man. We gotta make something shake quick.
Yeah, Crime Dog's a hell of a coach, and if you feel like you had a talented coach like that on your staff, and he gets ran off, then you got to kind of. And I'm not saying that like Ron Roberts specifically ran him off, but it's no secret, because I feel comfortable saying this because this is out there, that they butted heads, and that's a big reason why Crime Dog is left. So if you're Hugh, you're looking at it and saying, "Well, I can't allow this situation to happen again. What if next year if it's Zach, right? What if I get another guy in here that I really like, and this situation happens again?" So I think Hugh is really evaluating the entire program. And I know the cultural stuff sounds corny, man, but it's real. It's real, real, real for Auburn right now. We got to get the culture right. Coaches, players, everything. Amir popping in and saying War Eagle. Appreciate you, Amir. Mama Crotchfelt 2024 for sure, for sure. Thank you for watching. Big supporter. We look forward to seeing what Zach does on the mound this year. Blake, there have been some rumors, though, also about other position changes. And now our other position coaches being let go or moving on or whatever the case may be. The point I would make is because I haven't really seen anything like legit, right, or sustained. There's just not a whole lot to go off here yet. I'll just say this. If a guy like Caddy or Zach go somewhere, which has been rumors, and we'll see, we'll see as if that happens, if it even happens, if it does, what are the reasons why and all that kind of stuff. I would just say that, like, you got to prepare for this one way or the other.
Yeah.
Zach Etheridge is an up-and-coming star in the coaching ranks. We're not going to keep him as our DB coach forever. We're just not. So let's just say, like, worst case scenario, Hugh fires him, which I don't think is going to, but just for the sake of the argument, he's not going to be here forever. We've got to prepare for life without Zach Etheridge at some point.
Yep.
And that's a good thing for a program when you can point and say, hey, assistant coaches come here and they go on to bigger and better jobs. And we want to see a guy like Zach Etheridge, who I was at that Ole Miss game when he got hurt. Left that game not knowing if he was going to walk again, right? So if he comes up and has the opportunity to go be a DC somewhere or something like that, move up the ladder, then we should all applaud him. We should all pull for him as he goes. And it's just the way this goes, man. Like, look, I love Cadillac. I have multiple Buccaneer Cadillac jerseys, Auburn jerseys hanging right here. I've got the Cadillac. I mean, that's my guy, same way as yours. We all know that was our Bo Jackson, right? Like, our generation is Bo Jackson. But let's say that there is a move that's made. Let's say he's let go, which, again, I'm not suggesting is the case. We'd all be pissed as Auburn fans. You do what to Caddy? But the point I'm making is, it's like, would the freak out be proportionate? It's a running back coach, and I'm trying to be really careful here because I don't want to dismantle my favorite, like, or degrade my favorite player of all time. I want to be very careful. Like, I freaking love Cadillac. What I'm saying is if he gets a better job, if he is moved on from, for whatever reason, if he's not on the staff, Auburn can find another good running back coach. That's the whole point I'm making here. So when I see stuff where people are like, if Cadillac goes, oh boy, there's big problems and all that kind of stuff. Not necessarily. I think Cadillac turned a lot of heads last year when he took over Auburn and handled it the way that he did. And I think that I would love nothing more for Cadillac to move up the ladder. If a team like Troy or UAB, or maybe it has to be a D2 like North Alabama, but if somebody like that took a chance on Caddy and made him a head coach, I think that he could be a great head coach in time. So the point I'm just making here is this: if these things do happen, if these things do come, it's part of the game. Cadillac Williams is not going to be our running back coach forever. Zach Etheridge is not going to be our secondary coach forever. And I love those guys to death. But that doesn't mean, if that happens, that you can't hire another guy that doesn't know how to recruit and to do that position well. And then as we transition, I'll let you talk on this, Blake, but as we transition to our next point, this kind of goes for both of these things that I want to make right here. When you've had 3 losing seasons in a row, is anybody irreplaceable? Like, there's not, like, you get what I'm saying? There's nothing in there that's just is a key ingredient to us winning. And I'm not saying like you want to lose Keionte, right? Or you would want to lose Zach Etheridge as a coach or anything. I know those guys are pluses, but we're not winning games anyway. That's kind of the point I'm making. And it's Hugh Freeze's job. Let's see what it shakes out. We're not there every day. So we don't know. He has been very clear. He doesn't think the culture's right. So what changes does he need to make? And then, like you said, we're just going to have to give him time, because next year, winning and loss-wise, isn't going to look a whole lot better than this year. It's just not. So just sit back, evaluate, see what happens. And I'm not even saying trust you. If you don't trust you, that's fine, because I don't really trust or not trust. I'm just sitting back and observing. The point I'm making is position coaches come and go, and it wouldn't be the end of the world, even though I legit love these dudes to death.
I'm on the fence of if Cadillac Williams leaves Auburn, I'm beyond happy for him. I love it. I love it. And look, I'm an Auburn fan till I die. But I love it for our guy going and getting his coaching career started as an OC, as a head coach, whatever he gets. I want him to succeed in the coaching ranks. Same way with Zach, man. If Zach left to go be a DC somewhere, I'm beyond grateful for what they have done for Auburn. All right. Now, when everybody was screaming for Cadillac to be the head coach last year, Auburn's got to hire Cadillac. Auburn's got to hire Cadillac. Him leaving is going to happen, but it needs to happen because in the future, it's going to be in Auburn's best interest in the future. Because I think if he leaves and he goes and has success somewhere else and he becomes a solid head coach somewhere else and he gets those reps underneath him, and he gets that experience because he's having Hugh teach him right now. But you got to put the notches in the belt, man. You got to get the experience. And I'm telling you, it's a good thing in years to come for Auburn if Caddy goes and gets that experience somewhere. I think Caddy deserves it. And I said it last year. I didn't want Cadillac to get the head coaching job. But in the future, I do. I think he deserves to be Auburn's, hopefully it's next head coach because I want things to pan out with Hugh.
Right.
But when Hugh gives it up, I honestly hope that Cadillac Williams is our next head coach and he gets the OC job or the head coaching job in the lower ranks. Honestly, man, if he doesn't leave this year and South Alabama has a great year next year and Kane Womack decides to up and leave, I think South Alabama would be a great place for Cadillac Williams.
I agree with that. That'd be fun to watch. That would be really fun to watch, Blake.
Yeah, man. Like it just things like that. Like I've always thought, like a Troy or a South or UAB or something like that, man, would be really fun because I would love to see him stay in state and really win and build up a program there. So yeah, I'm going to be extremely excited. And like you said, Auburn's going to find coaches, man. They're going to go. I mean, you just brought Charles Kelly in, one of the elite recruiters in the country. And I saw a comment in the comment section about his defense at Colorado. Folks, let's not go off of that. Let's not go off of what happened at Colorado this year. That was a mess. All right. And when I tell you a mess, they just overhauled the entire roster. They tried to piece together a puzzle and it didn't work. They lost Travis Hunter midway through the year for a little 4 or 5 game stretch. Like it was just bad at Colorado. That's the reason you see a couple of guys leaving. And Dion was, look, I don't care what happened at Jackson State. All right. That was a new brand of football that he was on this year. And he found out the hard way. All right. Don't judge what happened at Colorado. Don't judge his defense off of that. And Dustin, you think the rumors about T-Rob are true?
So I just start some comments here. James asked, my question is, why can't any of our position coaches be promoted to coordinators if the excuse is experience, and why can't Crime Dog get the DC job? Am I off on that? I think that we're gonna have a better James. Good point. I think, and this answers Blake questions as well. To the T-Rob rumors, let's just wait and see what the plan is. There's a lot of moving parts, and we don't know yet. So let's just see. When the staff falls into place, we'll have a better idea, and we'll probably be able to go back and say, okay, X, Y, Z, this led to that. And I know that's not the fun thing to say right here, right now. I want to know exactly what's going to happen just as much as everybody else. Yep. But yeah, and things might not be finalized, James. I'm not in the building, brother. I really don't know. The things that I do know are that there's a lot of moving parts. Like, there are some things that I do know that I can't say. And even those things, if I did say them, they wouldn't tell you a whole lot. So it's just, we'll wait and see. We'll wait and see what the plan is. Hopefully Hugh has a plan to get this program turned back around the right way. I will say this, James. I think that, and to your question as well, Blake, whatever happens here with the staff and what happens with player movement going forward, everything that from that standpoint that is within Hugh Freeze's control, I think that culture will be the number one thing on his mind.
Yep.
I think that, and that doesn't mean that he lets go of a guy. That doesn't mean that he's bad for the culture. But I just think that all the moves that he's making are, look, we got to get this locker room, this culture turned around right. And then there's probably some on the field stuff too. Like maybe just an example, right? Just an example. If Cadillac is moved on from or something like that, let's say that Cadillac it's not him taking a new job. He's moved on from. Well, Hugh Freeze knows more football than I've ever forgot. And he would probably be able to sit us down and tell us a football you know what I'm saying? So, and then maybe it doesn't work out. And then in 3 or 4 years, we look at Hugh and we're like, he lost and he hired that guy and our running backs got work. But like right now, we just don't know. And we're just going to have to wait and see. And then once the moves are made, we'll judge from there how they pan out. But it's just a lot of moving parts, James. And then Alex says, it seems weird that Crime Dog is leaving because of Ron Roberts, then firing Ron. If Crime knew Ron was going, you think he'd stay? I'd say this, buddy. One, and this isn't a knock at Crime Dog. This is just the way the assistant coaches work. He's moved around a lot, right? Like Crime Dog's a guy, you look at it, he's coached everywhere, right? So he's a guy that's going to move around like a lot of these guys are. Like Damian Craig's a guy who's going to move around a lot. There's just a lot of that goes on. And again, just a whole lot of moving parts. Like Hugh, and I'm not confirming anything here, but there are rumors about T-Rob, right? Maybe that's a thing. And Hugh already has that in play. Maybe it's as simple as, I want to keep Zach Etheridge on the staff. I want to keep Zach Etheridge on the coaching staff, and I need to give him his all secondary back because it got split in half on him last year. We just don't know. And here within the next week or two, we will. But yeah, it's not, Alex, I would just say it's not as cut and dry as that, right? Like there's a lot of different things going on.
If you get T-Rob, you get Ryan Williams. So there you go. There you go.
All right. So look, Blake, I wanted to get over here and talk about the Keionte news real quick. But before we do that, man, we got a good crowd in here. And I want to talk about these memberships, brother. Talk to people about the memberships and what they could be getting if they sign up.
Yeah, if you want to sign up, we got a JV Squad $3.99 a month membership. We will be doing members only live chats, member shout outs. We always shout out your comments and your super chats if you send them in. We do early access to videos and all that good stuff. So like on our Friday morning episodes, when we drop those, I will early access them to our members. I usually drop them about 9 o'clock p.m. the night before. So you'll have a good little window there to watch that. And then you can go over to our Varsity Squad, $5.99 a month. Dustin kills the recruiting update videos. He gets in there. He's all over Auburn football recruiting. And we travel around on Friday nights and watch high school games and enjoy that. We were Perry Thompson, Bryce Kane, I mean, we were back and forth, man. So many good high school games down here in South Alabama and Mobile County. Gameplay with you. I'll update everybody in here. I made a tweet yesterday about this. The new NCAA game is coming out this year. And so if you have an Xbox or you like to chop it up on the sticks, man, we will be bringing something to you that we can all have fun with. So if you're a member and you're on that Varsity Squad, we will be having a time on some Xbox parties and things like that, man. It's going to be fun. And then Auburn baseball is kicking up, man. If you're an Auburn baseball fan, please join us. Please join us. This team is going to be so talented. We're going to break down some hitting, some pitching, what this team's going to look like, man. It's going to be an absolute blast. So get hyped for Auburn baseball. A lot of renovations happening over there at Plainsman Park. And it's just it's big times ahead, man. Big times ahead. I'm so glad that our basketball team, they take on Arkansas at Bud Walton Arena here in a little bit, and I'm glad they're rolling. A lot of people are picking against us today, Dustin. So, I think Auburn responds to that. I think Auburn has a great day on the hardwood, and Auburn baseball will be kicking off. And look, we had a preseason perfect game poll come out yesterday, and we somehow got preseason love. We're ranked 15th in the
Hey.
country in the perfect
Hey.
game poll. Doesn't happen often because I'm gonna keep this one short, but I'm gonna go off on a little heater real quick about Auburn baseball. I get on Twitter yesterday and I see my boy Lounge Dog. Love Lounge Dog, great follower, huge Mississippi State fan. Can't wait to be up in Starkville in a couple months for Auburn baseball and Mississippi State baseball. Man, Duty Noble. If you've never been, go check it out. But Lounge says he's making his SEC baseball preseason predictions, and my buddy predicts Auburn to be 6th in the West. And I said, whoa, 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 whoa. Who'd you put 7th? And he said, well, Alabama goes 7th. So where did you put Mississippi State? Well, they're at 3rd. Lounge, come on, buddy. Hey, don't disrespect us like that, man. All right? The state of Mississippi don't even know how to spell Hoover right now.
Woo.
All right? So come on now. Show us some love, man. Big things happening at Plainsman Park this year, folks. Get out there. Support this team.
Yes, sir. So tons of content coming from baseball season as well. I'm gonna be doing some watch the films on the recruit soon. Like Blake said, stay hammering that recruiting content. So if you're just a fan of everything, man, basketball, baseball, if you're just an Auburn sports fan, definitely check out those memberships. You're gonna want to do that. Got a whole lot of stuff that we got coming in. Like Blake said on this NCAA, man, this online dynasty, we can get in there. We can all be a team in the Sun Belt. But there's all kind of things we can do. We can create a league. So you definitely want to be a part of that.
Whoa. Whoa. I just saw a comment. Hold on. My boy Tanner, Dustin. Imagine having an Xbox over a PlayStation. Tanner, this is a freezing cold take, brother.
Come on, Tanner. This is your worst take ever.
I mean, you got PlayStation. You got Sony over Microsoft.
Let's see, Tanner. Tanner, can I put you in a timeout for 5 minutes?
Come on, dog.
Come on. Yeah, you better than that, T. All right, look. So last night, Blake, I'm laying in bed, and I'm just about to go to bed. And the girlfriend, she doesn't like me being on the phone in the bed. She says, you do all that stuff out there. When you get in this bed, I want that phone up. And I had to get out of bed and find out what in the hell was going on. Keionte Scott announces that he has entered the transfer portal. And I know that our guy Ike went live last night. I watched a bit of that and finished it up this morning. And just really surprising, especially when you consider the video that he put out himself. So just I want to be honest and for just full disclosure here, like everyone knows that we work for the War Report and that Ike is close with Keionte, right? I could have called Ike and got the rundown of what the situation is. I decided not to do that because the point that I want to make, I want it to be separate. So, and you'll understand here in a second. My thing is, Blake, to me, and again, these are not shots. This is not a shot at Keionte Scott. I am not Keionte Scott. I am not his parents. I have no, right to tell Keionte what's right for him. I'm not in the building. I don't know what he's gone through. I don't know. And again, I could have made a call to kind of find out. I didn't even do that because the point that I want to make here is that for me, okay, I look at it and I just say, and Keionte is a great player, a guy that we don't want to lose on the field. So don't take this as we don't want to lose Keionte. I want Keionte to come back to the team. My thing is this. I look at it and I say, we look at people that are bought in, all in, locked in. My leaders, the leaders of my team, like when I watched the post-game press conference from the Music City Bowl with Rivaldo and Keionte, okay, I felt so good about those two guys handling the future of Auburn and the culture. I literally watched it and I said, I don't know when Auburn's going to get right, how long it's going to take. But with Rivaldo speaking the way he was speaking, and then Keionte talking and speaking the way he was speaking, I said, boy, we got two guys right here that are bought in. Two guys that I know at the very least are going to be leaders next year and turning this program around. So I'm not taking shots at Keionte Scott. He might have every single right and be in the right for all I know. But the point that I'm making, Blake, is when somebody like that you think is a leader, you think that's somebody that you can build and move the program forward with.
Yep.
And now all of a sudden it's, oh wait, no, I don't want to be here because these things are going on. I hate to say it, but maybe you're just not what I want to be careful. I'm not talking about this person. I'm not talking about him, the person, but maybe you are not what to this team, what we thought you were going to be. Am I clear on that? I don't want to crap on Keionte, the person. What I'm trying to say is we thought you were going to be that guy, one of those guys that was going to turn this around. And now we can look at it and say, okay, now like you've entered the portal. So maybe does he return and all that? Sure. But it's not what I thought it was, right? It's not what I thought it was. I thought, okay, you're a guy, building block, moving forward, no matter what. You're Jalen Simpson style locked in here. And last night we found out that's not the case. And again, it's not a shot. It's just kind of a shock to me. It's not what I thought it was.
Mm-hmm.
I thought this was a guy that we could lean on as fans, that was going to stick it out and was going to was determined to get this thing right. And now it's these things have to go a certain way in order for him to stay. And I'm just a little, I don't even know the right word for it, but I guess I'll just say this, Blake. If he wants to go, then he needs to go. And if Keionte Scott does go, then I don't think it is the worst thing for Auburn long term. And it's not that I'm saying he's a problem. It's not that I'm saying he's a cancer. Far from that. I've heard nothing but Ike's obviously been very outspoken about how good of a guy Keionte is. And our guy, Phillip Dukes, who I like and respect tremendously as well, was standing up for Keionte last night, saying Keionte is a good teammate. He's a good leader. The point that I'm making is we need the guys that want to be here, period. Who are the guys that want to be here?
Yep.
And we'll go forward with them. If we go 4-8 next year, I want to go 4-8 with the guys that want to be at Auburn no matter what and take no matter what. Not, hey, if this goes this way, then I'll come back and all this, that, and the other. The time for that is over. And I would present to you, Blake, that maybe the reason we went 6-7 is because we thought some people were maybe more locked in than they really were. And I'm talking about the Keionte. Like, we thought you were that guy, and now you're in the portal. So I'm looking at it saying, wait, this was a guy that's supposed to be a captain, the closer, and all these things that he claimed to be. Yep. And now he's in the portal. It's like, oh, well, that might be a reason as to why we went 6-7. Whoever these captains and leaders are, I want the guys that ride with us no matter what. No, and so again, Keionte could have every reason in the world. He could be 100% in the right. I'm just saying, from a football perspective, man, it would hurt to lose him on the field. But if you're looking at a guy to be something that he's ultimately not going to be, a building block, I'm with you guys no matter what, because I don't see how that can even be argued now, right? Like, he's in the portal, so that part's clearly, there's clearly parameters now to him being at Auburn.
Yep.
Yeah, that can't even be argued. So I think we found out something yesterday. And my argument is, I think that's good for Auburn because we thought you were something that you're not. And now at least we know. So who is it? Keldrick Falk, Sylvester Smith, Caleb. Who is it? Eugene. Who is it? But somebody step up, stick it out with us. Because I've stuck it out with Auburn for 32 freaking years. And I'll be right back at the next game, and the next game, and the next game, no matter what. No matter what.
Yep.
And I think that it's not crazy, Blake, for us to ask for the same kind of loyalty, brother, especially from people that claim to have it. Am I off base?
Nah, the man made a whole 2-3 minute video of how his time at Jordan-Hare Stadium wasn't done. And how he wasn't going to give up on the Auburn fan base and everything. And look, you can get in here and say that me and Dustin are downing kids or whatever. Well, I'm going to tell you a little something that Jake Crane said. You don't want to get, you want to be paid as a professional athlete. So guess what? You're not a kid anymore. All right. you're a grown ass man.
Yes,
All
sir.
right. You want to make millions of dollars. You want to make money on the collegiate level. Guess what? The criticism comes. All right. It's just like people want to get in here and say, Blake, you don't know the difference of kids sitting out bowl games, and that's life changing money. All right. Well, guess what? Sauce Gardner, we said this the other night. What if Sauce Gardner went to the Jets when they were 3-8 and said, you know what, guys, I just don't feel like playing the rest of the season because it's just not good for me. We're not going to make the playoffs, so I'm out. I'll talk to y'all later. You're a professional athlete, all right? You're gonna get treated like one, all right? That's it. Because Sauce Gardner would get cut, all right? He would get cut from the New York Jets. They would take his money and they would wish him on his way. Point blank, period. But my thing with Keionte, man, is you made this video. You told us that you loved Auburn. You were on an Instagram live that I watched recruiting Ryan Williams to Auburn. And then I'm sitting here watching a college basketball game last night at my desk. And my buddy texts me and says, he's an Alabama fan. Hi. The same guy that was recruiting Ryan to Auburn just entered the portal. Joke's on you. Joke's on you. So we sit here and we talk about all this love for Auburn. I think Dustin hit the nail on the head. I want people at Auburn who actually love Auburn.
Yeah.
I want people that play for us that know what that AU stands for. They know what that, when they, like me and Dustin always say, when they run out that smoke, that heart starts beating a little faster, all right? And you get excited up in them stands. That's what we know about AU, man. I want people to understand what it means, what that AU means, because we've gotten away from that. I love Keionte Scott. I hope he withdraws from the portal and he comes back to Auburn. But I also agree with what Dak said in the comments a while ago. I saw his comment. He's one of our members. He stays in our game day group chat, and he makes a lot of great points.
Find him.
Once you enter the portal, you're in the portal. You're dead.
Yes,
you're no pulling out. I think that was a fantastic point. Once you enter that portal, there's no getting out.
That would be a good way to regulate some of this crap, Blake.
Don't come back, all right? Because once you enter the portal and you don't get picked up, it's going to teach you, hey, the grass ain't always greener on the other side. Now, in some cases, it can be. But we sit here and we preach, man, how we're the closer. We're the closer. We get on the hashtag on Twitter, the closer. And then we're closing the door to Auburn. and you know, you're one of our best players, man. Like Dustin said, you were one of the guys that we thought was going to take us into next year with Eugene coming back. You were going to be the anchor in the secondary. You gave us hope with Kay and Lee, and I'm out. I'm done. Once again, it takes me back to my point that I made earlier in the show. We are weak. We're soft, man. We're in a day and age where we are freaking soft, dude. Point blank, period. It's not there anymore. The passion, the love for the game, the love for the school is what's not there anymore. Could you imagine, bro? Could you imagine? You look at like back in the day, a Vince Young. The love for Texas. Could you imagine like a Vince Young just giving up on Texas? Could you imagine like a Reggie Bush or a Matt Leinart? Bro, you know how active those dudes are still to this day? Like Vince Young is at Texas games 24/7. Because you want to know why, Dustin? He loves Texas. He would die for Texas, bro. Matt Leinart, he sits on Fox every Saturday morning and talks about USC and how they're dog shit. All right. How, hey, you better get it corrected. All right. Reggie Bush did the same thing. Hey, even though, I got shit on in the Heisman Trophy and all that, I still love USC. All right. Those guys love their school. Cadillac, Zach, Marcus Davis. They love Auburn. We don't have that love for the university anymore, man. And that's what it's come down to. It's just up and go. When times get tough, up and go, up and leave, man. Because there's no commitment. And it's the same way it bleeds into the high school ranks where kids can drop their top 50 schools. All right. Guess what? I don't give a piss about top 50 schools. All right. You drop your top 50 schools and then you say, hey, yeah, I'm committed to Utah. And then a month later, you're committed to Wisconsin. And then a month later, you're committed to Washington. And then 3 months later, you sign with Georgia. All right. Dylan Raiola. All right. Mr. Commit to 5 schools and sign with a different one on signing day. Like it's gotten to the point, man, where it's out of hand. It's out of hand. And like I said, I want Keionte to pull his name out and I want him to return to Auburn. Because when I look at the player Keionte, I want him in that secondary. But if he feels like it's best for him to leave, then leave. That's one thing that, Valdo said is a lot of people got a lot of loose leashes on this team, and we need to get rid of that. So if you don't want to be at Auburn, then don't be at Auburn. Get out. We'll move on. We'll carry on, and we'll get this thing rolling in the right direction sooner rather than later.
Yeah, 100%. It's that's just kind of, I'm with you, man. I'm at the point where it's, if you're not going to be here, that's fine, but we got to quit. Just like I'm not gonna get on social media and please, man. Like, all right, bro. And again, these are not personal attacks. So the point about the video, Blake, I want to say this. Everyone, and I know this is really hard to do, but just look at it as a fan. That's my whole thing today. Just look at it as a fan, okay? And the health of the sport. A guy comes out, makes a video saying that he's coming back to the school, and then he ultimately hits a portal and is not coming back. If that's not a microcosm, if this Keionte Scott situation is not a microcosm, an exact example of what is wrong with college football right now, I don't know what is. You can literally watch a video of someone telling you that they're going to come back, and then they don't come back.
Yeah.
So the next time I see this video from another player, why would I even care? Why should I even like it or retweet it or care at all?
Yep.
And furthermore, what's really the point of getting so deep into following the roster right now? You might as well just wait till the last period at the end of the spring, and when fall camp shows up, to an evaluation. In reality, that wouldn't be good for us in the content game, but if we're just being real, then holler at me August 1st and we'll see who's on the team. It's tough, man, and it's not good because, from this fan perspective, because you build up, like, think about the Detroit Bad Boy Pistons, right? How they had and how they had to fight to get past the Lakers and past the Celtics, and then they finally did. It's that feeling of those fans having, hey, remember when we lost to them, and then we came back and we lost again, and then we came back and we lost again, and then we got their ass. You can't get that came back feeling if you have a new team every single year. It's just hired mercenaries. It's just 1-year rentals. And my argument is bad for the sport. Zooming out from Keionte, it's just bad. It's hard to stay invested because you have a guy that literally said, I love you guys, I'm coming back, and then doesn't. So what are the fans? What are you supposed to think at this point? What are you supposed to? You want me to donate money to this? You want me to pay $250 a ticket to watch you get drummed every Saturday, and then the players do this? You're tripping.
So did anybody see that Jalen Simpson video? Y'all see that?
Yeah.
You see that? Yeah, that's 3 head coaches.
Yes, sir.
Where he went through hell And let me tell you something. He could have transferred. He could have went somewhere and won a national championship, competed in a college football playoff. He could have stepped out of Auburn and said, "You know what? I love this place, but it's just a bad situation right now. It's just a bad situation right now, and I don't want to be here anymore. I want to take my talents elsewhere." But he didn't. And one thing that stuck out to me in his goodbye video was he said, "I was a young kid from Brunswick, Georgia, and I come to Auburn and I fell in love with the place. I fell in love with my time at Auburn. I fell in love with the place." That means he's got Auburn in his heart, dog. It's here. All right. Dustin, in my opinion, I'm sorry that, some people might agree with it, might disagree with this, but Jalen is from Georgia. All right. Dustin said this the other night. I want them Southern dogs.
Yeah.
All right. Keionte is from California. He might not get it. He might not understand it. It just might not. All right. But Jalen got it, man. He fell in love with Auburn. It is in his heart, man. It's right there. He will come back to Auburn games when he's done with the NFL, or he's on a bye week and Auburn plays at home and he's right there in Georgia. He will come back to Auburn games, man, because he gets it. He fell in love with the place of Auburn. He fell in love with Toomer's Corner. That's it, man. Like, it's different for some people. Some people were just cut from a different cloth, man.
Yeah, for sure. And I got Ike ask, why is it that nobody is asking why would a kid we believe to be this committed want to even consider leaving? I have asked that question. To me, Ike, and you're more than welcome to come on the show and we can debate this. For me, it doesn't matter. Like that's why I didn't really dig in with you as far as what the real deal was. It doesn't to me, that's irrelevant. To me, I'm just looking at it from the fan and saying, this kid that said he was going to be on the team, like you said 2 weeks ago, now he's not. I'm just, as a college football fan, I'm just exhausted with it. So I don't really care. The fan in me, I'm interested to know why, but the fan in me doesn't really care. If he's not going to play for Auburn, he's not going to play for Auburn. And I'm exhausted with the portal as a college football fan because this is happening at every team. This is not, it sounds like we're just complaining about Auburn here, but it's going on everywhere. And I'm complaining about it happening everywhere.
Yeah. Like Georgia, Alabama.
Yeah. To me, it's not the Keionte situation specifically. It's as a whole. To me, it's just a microcosm of what college football is right now for a kid to make a video saying he's coming back. And then something did happen within 2 weeks and all that kind of stuff. But you know what, Ike? I've been in a lot of situations, man, where I've just had to stick it out. And I just think that I think right now that a lot of us in college football fans are just frustrated. And it's not even a shot at really Keionte. I'm frustrated that there's the rules. It's just I don't think that he should be. I don't know. The video and all that, it just makes it look bad. And then there's nothing in place, and it's just this whole free for all that it's led to. It's just hard for us as fans to stay invested in these players individually when we feel like they just don't give a damn about us at all. And that's just the way. That's kind of the way I feel about it.
It's like, look, it's like Caden Salter. All right, let's be honest with Caden Salter. He got in the transfer portal because he wanted to leave Liberty. I don't think anybody called. If Auburn did call, they didn't. He found out, hey, they don't offer my major. I can't go there. Well, now guess what? I got to get back in. I got to go to Liberty. Well, as a Liberty guy, how do you stand on that? You wanted to leave,
Right.
Like you wanted to leave. So that's like with Keionte, like you're telling me now you want to leave. So like if we accept you back, you wanted to leave.
Can we? So can we put you? Can we put you back in a leadership position? Like that? Is that not a fair question to ask?
I mean, I think if you quit a job, if you're a manager at a job and you quit and you leave and you come back, you don't go to that same position, do you?
It's not the way I've ever worked.
No, I don't know, man. Ike says he doesn't want to leave.
I mean, he's in the portal.
Well,
that's what I mean.
I don't
he's
know.
In the portal.
Tell him to stay.
Yeah, I mean, and again, like that's what I don't want to happen. I don't want it to turn into this like personal thing. So I'm just going to kind of steer clear of all that because I'm not attacking Keionte Scott. So, let's see, guys, we got to get out of here before we do. Let's see, there was a couple things I wanted to get into. Troy had a comment. He said, losing a good player is never good, and Auburn has to find a way to get T-Rob away from Bama, period. Look, brother, this would be, you get Charles Kelly, and then you get T-Rob. Yes, sir. You can sign me up. Tanner says, that's why I have so much respect for Simp. And that's the point, Tanner. Like, yeah, we love Simp. He rode through everything for us. In the same way that Tanner, that you're going to keep watching Auburn no matter what happens, right? Yeah, that's the love that you show Auburn and supporting Auburn no matter what. Simp showed it back to you over his time at Auburn, and it feels good, doesn't it? Let's see. T-Rex says, do you think he learned how much he is worth? No. Ike's close with him, and he has said that it's not an NIL situation. So no, I don't think it's anything to do with that at all. So no, I don't. Let's see if there's anything else. And then Jonathan makes a good point here. He says it's a two-way street because coaches take advantage of these kids too. You're 100% correct. That's why I gave the Brian Kelly example from the LSU situation, or from leaving Notre Dame after they were like 11-1 and then leaving them to go to LSU. Like, I didn't like that. Right. So yeah, this is the thing. That's why it's tough to talk about these things, because I've learned in our time doing this, Blake, it is so hard for people to wrap their mind around, I'm not personally attacking somebody. I'm just talking about football and as a fan. And I'm going to close out on this. And I mean this when I say it. This whole idea that, and if you follow me on Twitter, you know that I don't crap on people. Like, I don't crap on players on Twitter. But because the really people that do that hide behind burners. It's very rare that a legit person, even somebody that's not in media, podcasts, or whatever you want to call me, just a regular person, if they have their name and face to their account, they don't really like crap. It's usually just burners that behave like that. What I'm saying here is, listen, if those kind of people, if burner accounts make a kid leave a school, then my argument is he's probably not going to work out in the NFL. And again, this isn't this is not a Keionte Scott specifically, but it's relevant to this discussion because he could come back and all that. If these players are waiting on the way that fans react on Twitter to make their decisions, then I would make the argument to you, they're going to struggle in the NFL, and they're definitely going to struggle dealing with criticism in the NFL. If you're worried about the way that Auburn burners treat you on Twitter, and then you're going to get drafted by the New York Jets, boy, you better not have a bad play. Boy, you better not have a bad game in front of that New York media. And you're worried about Auburn. And I've always been that example for Bo Nix. Whenever people were like, Auburn fans ran Bo off. One, I don't think that's what happened. And two, if that was true, then Bo would, if he has that mindset going into the NFL, then he's going to struggle. Right? Mm-hmm. Like, you can't worry about what fans say. You can't worry about what I say. You can't worry about what anybody out there says if you're a player. Like, you got to just do you and do what's best for you. So, Jonathan, I completely agree with this comment. I want players to have the ability to do the things. I want them to get paid for their services. I want them to have the freedom to be able to have their movement. The whole point that me and Blake are making is college football has become the NFL. What does the NFL have? Rules and regulations in place, that way that the contracts and the player movement across teams and all that has structure, has reasoning, and makes sense. That's the argument today. We just want some rules and some parameters. It's not any attack on any personal kid. It's just not. So, and I know that I'll have that's just never going to get through some people's head.
And I'll close it out on this, Dustin, and let you wrap it up.
Oh, I'm done, brother.
PPAS said that, something about a job and a manager leaving, and that means he should have left too. I'll be honest with you. A couple months ago, I'm a supervisor at where I work, and I've been at my place of employment for 10 years now. I'm 32 years old, so I started there when I was 22, and I felt like my boss was getting ready for retirement, and I felt like I was in the driver's seat for the job. That man, I'm going to be making a lot of money. I'm 32, and I got years of experience underneath my belt. I feel like I'm ready. Well, uh, they hired another guy over me from a different company, and he's 60 years old, and he's been 40 years in the business, and I've only been 10. And I understood it. Like, I was pissed, but I understood that. Like, hey, this guy left. I thought I was going to hate my job. I started, like, seriously sitting down and was like, do I need to look for other jobs? So I went in and I said, hey, man, me and you need to have a talk. Like, we need to have a talk. What's the deal? Everybody's saying, well, it's for other coaches. All right. For other coaches. Let's see what the other coaches are like. Because I went in and had a talk with my boss and was like, hey, man, at the end of the day, I really don't want to leave. I've put so much time and effort in here. I love working here. I don't have to bust my ass every day. I don't have to sweat in 110-degree heat every day. I don't want to go to a job. I don't want to go to a shipyard, dog. I don't want to go weld at a shipyard. That's not what I want to do. So we had a talk, man. We had a conversation like, hey, I decided to stay. And now me and that cat, we got the best relationship. Me and him, tight as could be. Like, I respect him because he told me straight up what it was going to be like. So it's not always about leaving, dog. Like, it's not. Like, everybody don't have to leave. Like, and I think I talk about Jalen's message in his goodbye video. He didn't thank Brian Harsin, because you want to know why? He didn't give a damn about Brian Harsin, bro.
Pretty telling.
But he stayed through the tough times. He stayed through, and he even changed positions during those tough times. Mm-hmm. Like, I guess it's just about love for, like we talked about, man, love for a school. And I don't know, man. I don't know. I think we're heartbroken too, because we looked at Keionte, and when he just sat in that chair in the video and he talked about his love for our fan base and Jordan-Hare Stadium and Auburn, and how he was the guy to return, and it just stings, man. It stings. And I asked last night, who's going to be our new closer? And people say, hey, looks like Walker White. Walker White might be that guy that steps in, and you might not have to worry about Walker White ever leaving, because maybe he takes on that leadership role.
About to play, by the way. He's about to play here in a couple minutes.
Yeah. So let's get off here and go watch that, man. I'm exhausted with the portal talk and sure. These kids just up and out and all that.
Yeah. So look, go over to NBC. We got a ton of guys this recruiting class, future QB1. We all hope. Walker White playing right now in the All-American game over there on NBC. Last point, real quick, I just wanted to make. I just comment right here from T-Rex. Just listen, saying great way to put it, and a lot of you guys are saying you appreciate it and all that. This is hard, right? Like, it's hard to come in, and you have to try to be like very clear and saying like, listen, dude, because somebody else, there's another comment saying, how do we know that Keionte's reason is not legit? I'm sure it is. That's why I've been very clear in saying I'm not Keionte Scott. I'm not. Who am I to tell him how to live his life? That's why it's tough to get in here and try to find the right angle to take and the right way to do it and all that kind of stuff. And then still voice your opinion, and then still try to be honest and all that as well. So appreciate all the kind words. If you have not hit that thumbs up button, do that. Yeah. If you have not hit that subscribe button, do that. We are knocking on the door, man. We are knocking on the door of 1,500. We're like a little over 100 subs away from 1,500. So y'all please do that. Help us out. Share the content out there. Tell everybody that we're out here. We exist. We're just two Auburn fans that love Auburn University. And you can never question that. You can say a lot, but you can never question that. We'll be back. Are we going to do one tomorrow, Blake? Probably
Yeah.
just do one Tuesday night, huh?
Yeah, we can just do one Tuesday night.
All right, we'll be back
That works.
Tuesday night live show. We'll see you guys then 7 p.m. Central Time. War Dan, we're out, baby.
War damn Eagle, baby.